The Forgotten Outpost. The unexpected Discovery Commander Sarah Chen floated in the observation deck of Mining Station Omega-7, watching the endless dance of asteroids through the reinforced viewport. The station hung in the darkness like a metal spider, its 8 arms extending into the asteroid belt of the Proxima Centauri system. For 3 months, her crew had been pulling rare minerals from the floating rocks, sending regular reports back to Earth about their progress. At least that was what their official log showed. Sarah pressed her hand against the cool metal wall and felt the gentle vibration of the station's systems. Everything appeared normal to any outside observer, but she knew better. Hidden beneath the ordinary mining equipment were systems that cost more than most planetary defense grids. Her crew of 12 wasn't just extracting platinum and rare Earth elements. They were testing something that could change humanity's place in the galaxy. Forever, Dr. Marcus Webb drifted up beside her, his tablet glowing with complex readings. The physicist was young for his position, barely 30, but his mind worked faster than the station's quantum computers. His brown hair floated around his head in the low gravity, and his green eyes sparkled with excitement that he tried hard to hide. "Commander, you need to see this," Marcus said quietly, glancing around to make sure they were alone. "The gravitational resonance tests are showing results beyond our wildest projections. The asteroid we've been working on for the past week has increased its mass density by 40%, without changing its size." Sarah took the tablet and studied the numbers. What she saw made her heart race. For 2 years, Earth's top scientists had been working on theoretical gravitational manipulation. The idea was simple in concept, but nearly impossible in practice. By creating controlled gravitational fields, humans could turn any large object into a weapon or shield. A single asteroid could become dense enough to deflect energy weapons or light enough to be thrown across space like a bullet. "Have you run the calculations on what this means for defensive capabilities?" Sarah asked, keeping her voice low. Marcus nodded, his excitement barely contained. "Commander, if we can scale this technology up, a single space station could defend an entire solar system. We could make asteroids dance like leaves in the wind, or dense enough to stop a fleet of battleships." Before Sarah could respond, the station's communication system crackled to life. Lieutenant Alex Rivera's voice echoed through the corridors, tense and urgent. "All senior staff to the communications center immediately. We have a situation." Sarah and Marcus exchanged worried glances. They pushed off from the viewport and glided through the station's corridors toward the communication hub. The mining station was designed for efficiency, not comfort. Narrow passages connected small chambers filled with equipment and supplies. Everything was built to serve a purpose, with no wasted space or unnecessary decoration. The arrival of the hegemony this set the communication center buzzed with activity when Sarah arrived. Lieutenant Alex Rivera sat at the main console, his dark skin glistening with sweat despite the cool air. His fingers moved rapidly across holographic displays, showing sensor readings and energy signatures. Chief Engineer Emma Santos stood beside him, her short blonde hair tied back as she studied the technical readouts with professional focus. "Report," Sarah commanded as she secured herself to a wall handle. Alex looked up from his screens, his brown eyes wide with concern. "Commander, we're detecting massive energy signatures approaching from the outer system. At least 15 ships, possibly more. They're big, Commander, really big." Emma pulled up a 3-dimensional display showing the approaching vessels. Each ship appeared as a glowing crystal formation, beautiful and terrifying at the same time. The largest vessel stretched nearly 2 kilometers from end to end, its faceted surface catching and reflecting light from the distant stars. Analysis shows non-human construction, Emma reported in her calm, professional voice. "The hull composition appears to be some kind of crystalline material we've never encountered. Energy output suggests weapons capabilities far beyond anything in our current databases." Sarah studied the display, her mind racing through possibilities. In all of humanity's expansion into space, they had encountered ruins and artifacts from ancient civilizations, but never active alien technology. The timing couldn't be a coincidence. These beings had appeared just as humanity was testing its most advanced defensive systems. "Time to intercept?" Sarah asked. "Approximately 6 hours at their current speed," Alex replied. "Commander, they're not trying to hide their approach. Their energy emissions are so strong that any civilization with basic space technology would detect them from light years away." Marcus floated over to examine the sensor data more closely. His physicist's mind immediately began analyzing the energy patterns. "These readings are fascinating. Their power generation appears to be based on quantum crystalline matrices. Theoretically, they could generate enough energy to power a small star." "How many crew members are we talking about?" Sarah asked. Emma ran additional scans before answering. "Hard to say exactly, but based on the size and configuration of their ships, we're looking at thousands, possibly tens of thousands of beings. Their technology appears to be at least several centuries ahead of ours in conventional terms." Sarah felt a chill run down her spine, but she forced herself to remain calm. Her crew looked to her for leadership, and she couldn't show fear now. She had commanded mining operations and research stations for 15 years, but nothing had prepared her for first contact with an alien civilization. "Alex, prepare a standard first contact message. Use all available frequencies and include mathematical constants to show we're intelligent beings. Keep it simple and peaceful." Alex nodded and began composing the message. His fingers flew across the controls as he encoded mathematics, basic physics, and peaceful intentions into a transmission that would be broadcast toward the approaching fleet. The hegemony's response. 2 hours passed before they received a response. The alien message came through clearly, translated by the station's advanced linguistic analysis systems. The voice that emerged from the speakers was cold and mechanical, lacking any warmth or emotion that humans would associate with communication. "Primitive carbon-based life forms of the third planet, you are in the presence of the hegemony. We are the inheritors of this galaxy, the children of crystal and light. Your species has been monitored since you began your pathetic expansion into space." Sarah felt her jaw tighten at the condescending tone, but she gestured for her crew to remain calm and listen. The alien voice continued, each word precisely pronounced and dripping with arrogance. "Your technology is crude, your understanding of the universe limited, and your lifespan laughably brief. We have observed your kind struggling with basic spaceflight while we have mastered the fundamental forces of reality itself." Marcus leaned forward, his scientific curiosity overriding his concern. "Commander, their translation systems are incredibly advanced. They're not just converting words, they're interpreting concepts and emotional context." The message resumed. "However, the hegemony is not without mercy. We will allow your species to serve us as laborers and maintenance workers. Your short lives and simple minds make you suitable for basic tasks that would bore our superior intellects." Emma's hands clenched into fists, but she kept her voice professional. "Arrogant crystalline jerks, aren't they? You will surrender your pathetic mining station and submit to hegemony authority immediately," the alien voice commanded. "Any resistance will be met with immediate destruction. Your crude weapons cannot harm our crystalline hulls, and your primitive shields will offer no protection against our quantum disruptors." Sarah looked around at her crew. Each face showed a mixture of fear, anger, and determination. These were some of Earth's best and brightest scientists and engineers who had volunteered for a dangerous mission in deep space. They hadn't signed up to be slaves to arrogant aliens. "Alex, open a channel," Sarah commanded. "Channel open, Commander." Sarah took a deep breath and spoke with the calm authority she had developed over years of command. "This is Commander Sarah, Chen of Earth Mining Station Omega-7. We receive your message and understand your position. However, we need time to discuss your terms among our crew." There was a long pause before the alien voice responded, now tinged with what sounded like amusement. "You wish to negotiate? How wonderfully naive. Very well, primitive beings. You have 2 of your planetary rotations to prepare for surrender. After that time, we will demonstrate the consequences of defying the hegemony." The communication ended abruptly, leaving the humans alone with their thoughts and fears. The Hidden Truth Sarah called an emergency meeting in the station's main conference room. All 12 crew members gathered around the metal table, their faces serious and determined. The room was small and utilitarian, with exposed pipes and cable, conduits running along the walls. It looked exactly like what it was supposed to be, a simple meeting space for miners and researchers. "Everyone knows why we're here," Sarah began, her voice steady despite the circumstances. "What some of you don't know is the real reason for this mission." She activated a holographic display that showed the station's true schematics. Suddenly, the simple mining equipment revealed itself as something far more sophisticated. Hidden gravitational field generators were scattered throughout the station's structure. Massive power cores that could energize a small city were concealed. Behind false bulkheads, the mining lasers were actually precision instruments capable of manipulating matter at the quantum level. Dr. Webb spoke up, his voice filled with scientific excitement despite their dangerous situation. "Ladies and gentlemen, we're not just miners. We're the test crew for humanity's first gravitational warfare system." Emma stepped forward and began explaining the technical details. The mining story was cover for the most advanced defensive system ever created by human technology. We've been testing the ability to manipulate gravitational fields on a massive scale. The asteroids around this station aren't just sources of raw materials. They're potential weapons and shields that we can control with precision. Lieutenant Rivera looked amazed as he studied the real schematics. "So when we were mining those asteroids, we were actually preparing them for defensive use?" "Exactly," Sarah confirmed. "Each asteroid we've processed now contains gravitational field generators. We can make them incredibly dense to absorb energy weapons, or reduce their mass to almost nothing so they can be accelerated to incredible speeds." Marcus activated another display showing the test results from their 3 months of work. "We've successfully modified 47 asteroids in this belt. Some can now absorb energy equivalent to a nuclear explosion. Others can be launched like missiles at near light speed." Sarah looked around the table at her crew's faces. Fear was being replaced by determination and even excitement. These weren't just miners facing impossible odds. They were Earth's first line of defense, equipped with technology that might actually give them a chance. "The question now is whether our systems will work against real alien technology," Sarah said. "We've run simulations and controlled tests, but we've never faced an actual enemy fleet." Emma smiled grimly as she pulled up weapon specifications. "Commander, I've been analyzing their ship compositions based on our sensor scans. Their crystalline hulls are incredibly strong against energy weapons, but they might be vulnerable to kinetic impacts. A high-speed asteroid strike could shatter their entire ship structure." "And their quantum disruptors?" Marcus asked. "That's where our gravitational shields come in," Emma replied. "If we can create strong enough gravitational fields around the station, we might be able to deflect their energy weapons or absorb them." "Entirely." Sarah stood up, feeling the weight of command on her shoulders. 12 humans in a remote mining station were about to face an alien fleet that considered them primitive insects. But they weren't insects, and they weren't primitive. They were human beings with the most advanced defensive technology their species had ever created. "All right, people. We have less than 46 hours to prepare. Emma, I want all gravitational systems brought online and tested. Marcus, run final calculations on asteroid trajectories and impact velocities. Alex, monitor their fleet movements and prepare our communication systems for electronic warfare if necessary." She paused, looking each crew member in the eye. "The hegemony thinks we're helpless primitives with crude technology. They're about to learn that humans don't surrender easily, and our primitive minds have created something they never expected." As her crew dispersed to their stations, Sarah returned to the observation deck. The alien fleet was visible now as tiny points of light growing larger by the hour. They approached with the confidence of predators who had never encountered real resistance. But they had never encountered humanity's greatest weapon, the refusal to accept defeat and the creativity to turn apparent weakness into strength. The next few hours would determine whether Earth's children would become slaves, or prove that human ingenuity could triumph over alien arrogance. The test was about to begin. The reckoning, preparation for the impossible. The next 36 hours passed in a blur of activity as the crew of mining station Omega-7 prepared for the most important battle in human history. Commander Sarah Chen barely slept, moving between stations to coordinate the complex preparations. The mining station had been transformed from its disguise into something that looked more like a military command center. In the engineering section, Chief Engineer Emma Santos worked with desperate efficiency to bring all gravitational systems online. The hidden power cores hummed with energy that could have supplied a major city for months. Gravitational field generators that had been disguised as ore processors now revealed their true purpose, creating invisible threads of force that connected the station to dozens of asteroids floating in the belt around them. "Status report, Emma," Sarah called as she floated into the engineering bay. Emma looked up from a control panel, her face streaked with grease, but her eyes bright with determination. "All primary systems are operational, Commander. We've got gravitational locks on. 47 asteroids, ranging from small fighters to massive battleship killers. The power distribution network is holding steady, though we're pushing these systems far beyond their tested limits." She activated a holographic display showing the asteroid field around the station. Each processed asteroid glowed with a different color, indicating its current gravitational modification and potential use. Some pulsed slowly, indicating they had been made incredibly dense and could serve as shields or battering rams. Others flickered rapidly, showing they had been reduced to near weightlessness and could be accelerated to tremendous speeds. "What about our defensive capabilities?" Sarah asked. Emma smiled grimly. "The gravitational shield generators are online and calibrated. We can create a defensive field strong enough to deflect most energy weapons, but maintaining it will drain our power reserves quickly. The real question is whether our calculations are accurate when it comes to actual alien technology." Meanwhile, Dr. Marcus Webb had converted the geology lab into a weapons targeting center. Banks of computers ran continuous calculations, predicting trajectories, impact velocities, and optimal timing for asteroid deployment. His young face was drawn with exhaustion, but his mind remained sharp and focused. "Marcus, how are our targeting?" "Solutions?" Sarah asked as she joined him at his improvised command station. "Better than I hoped, Commander," Marcus replied, gesturing to the complex equations scrolling across multiple screens. "The hegemony fleet is maintaining a standard approach formation, which makes them predictable. Their ships are large and powerful, but they're not particularly maneuverable. If we can catch them by surprise, we should be able to score multiple hits before they can react." He pulled up a tactical display showing the approaching alien fleet. 15 massive crystalline ships moved through space in a diamond formation, their hulls glittering like jewels against the darkness. The largest vessel led the formation, easily 10 times the size of the mining station. "Their flagship is the primary target," Marcus continued. "If we can disable or destroy their command ship, the rest of the fleet might lose coordination. I've calculated 3 different attack patterns, depending on their final approach vector." Lieutenant Alex Rivera had transformed the communications center into an electronic warfare hub. Banks of transmitters and receivers that had been used for mining coordination now prepared to jam alien communications and disrupt their sensor networks. "Alex, are we ready for information warfare?" Sarah asked. "As ready as we can be, Commander," Alex replied, his fingers dancing across holographic controls. "I've analyzed their communication protocols during our previous exchanges. Their systems are advanced, but they follow logical patterns. If we can overwhelm their networks with false signals and sensor ghosts, we might be able to confuse their targeting systems long enough to get our shots in." Sarah felt a surge of pride as she looked at her crew. 12 humans, isolated in deep space, were preparing to face an alien fleet that considered them primitive insects. But these weren't ordinary humans. They were engineers, scientists and specialists who had volunteered for humanity's most dangerous mission. They represented the best of human creativity, determination, and refusal to surrender. The hegemony's approach, with 6 hours remaining. Until the alien ultimatum expired, the hegemony fleet began its final approach to mining station Omega-7. The lead ship transmitted another message, its cold mechanical voice filling the station's communication center. Inferior carbon-based organisms, your time for surrender has nearly expired. We have analyzed your pathetic station and find it laughably inadequate for any meaningful resistance. Your primitive fusion reactors could not power a single one of our waste disposal systems. Sarah listened to the alien transmission while studying the tactical displays. The hegemony ships moved with absolute confidence, making no attempt to vary their course or speed. They approached like gods descending from the heavens, certain that nothing could threaten their crystalline magnificence. Your mining lasers are toys compared to our quantum disruptors, the alien voice continued. Your metal hull would vaporize under a single focused beam from our weakest vessel. We offer you one final opportunity to surrender and accept your role as servants to your superiors. Emma floated over to Sarah's position, her engineering tablet showing power distribution across all station systems. Commander, they're scanning us with some kind of quantum probe. Our basic defensive screens are deflecting most of it, but they're getting detailed readings of our external hull and visible equipment. Perfect, Sarah replied quietly. Let them see exactly what they expect to see. A small mining station with basic equipment and no significant weapons. Marcus checked his calculations one final time, then activated the asteroid targeting network. Throughout the belt surrounding the station, 47 modified asteroids began subtle adjustments to their positions. To outside observers, they would appear to be drifting naturally through space, but each rock was actually maneuvering into precise attack positions. Asteroid deployment complete, Commander, Marcus reported. All projectiles are in position and ready for launch on your command. The alien transmission resumed, now with a tone of obvious amusement. We detect that you are attempting to hide behind floating rocks. How charmingly primitive. Your species appears to believe that chunks of stone and metal can protect you from quantum energy weapons. We will demonstrate the foolishness of such thinking. Alex looked up from his electronic warfare station, his brown eyes blazing with anger. Commander, permission to tell these crystal jerks exactly what we think of them? Sarah smiled, feeling the same anger but keeping it under control. Not yet, Alex. Let them keep thinking we're helpless. The longer they underestimate us, the better our chances become. The battle begins. With 1 hour remaining until their ultimatum expired, the hegemony fleet arranged itself in attack formation around mining station Omega-7. The 15 crystalline ships positioned themselves at various distances and angles, surrounding the small human outpost like wolves preparing to devour a wounded deer. The flagship, a massive crystal cathedral that sparkled with internal light, moved to within 10 kilometers of the station. Its hull was a masterpiece of alien engineering, with faceted surfaces that seemed to bend light and space around them. Smaller vessels took supporting positions, their own crystalline forms glowing with barely contained energy. Sarah stood in the station's command center, surrounded by her crew as they made final preparations. Emma monitored the gravitational systems, Marcus tracked asteroid positions, and Alex prepared his electronic warfare suite. The other crew members had taken positions throughout the station, ready to manage damage control and backup systems. Attention, primitive beings. The alien commander's voice echoed through the station's speakers. You have failed to surrender as commanded. We will now demonstrate the consequences of defying the hegemony. Your destruction will serve as a lesson to any other inferior species we encounter. The flagship's main weapon began charging, creating a visible distortion in space around its forward section. Energy readings spiked as quantum forces gathered for a devastating attack. The alien ship's targeting systems locked onto the mining station's central hub, preparing to vaporize the entire structure with a single blast. Gravitational shields to maximum power, Sarah commanded. Emma's hands flew across her controls as massive amounts of energy flowed through the station's hidden systems. Space around the mining outpost began to shimmer as gravitational fields stronger than a small moon's gravity formed a protective barrier. The power drain was enormous, but the shield held steady. All systems show green, Commander, Emma reported. Shield strength at maximum sustainable levels. The Hegemony flagship fired its main weapon, a lance of pure quantum energy that could have cut through a mountain. The beam struck the gravitational shield surrounding the mining station and simply stopped. The energy dispersed harmlessly across the gravitational field, absorbed and redirected into the empty space beyond. For the first time since their arrival, the alien communications carried a note of surprise. Impossible. Our sensors show your technology cannot generate such defensive capabilities. Sarah smiled as she activated the station's communication system. When she spoke, her voice carried the calm confidence of someone who held all the cards. This is Commander Sarah Chen. Thank you for the demonstration of your weapons. Now let us show you what human engineering can accomplish. The human response at Sarah's command, Marcus activated the asteroid targeting system. Throughout the belt surrounding the mining station, 47 modified asteroids suddenly changed from drifting rocks into precision-guided weapons. Gravitational fields that had made them nearly weightless now accelerated them to incredible velocities, while others that had been made incredibly dense became unstoppable battering rams. The first wave of attacks caught the Hegemony fleet completely off guard. 3 small asteroids, accelerated to 30% of light speed, struck the alien flagship's port side simultaneously. The impacts shattered entire sections of the crystalline hull, sending fragments spinning into space like deadly jewelry. Direct hits on the flagship, Marcus reported excitedly. Their hull structure is exactly as vulnerable to kinetic impacts as we calculated. The crystalline matrix can't handle high-velocity mass impacts. Emma activated the second phase of their attack plan. A massive asteroid, made dense enough to have the gravitational pull of a small moon, was launched directly at the center of the alien formation. The Hegemony ships tried to maneuver away from the incoming projectile, but their massive size and previous overconfidence had left them poorly positioned for evasive action. The dense asteroid plowed through 3 alien vessels, its incredible mass and momentum carrying it through their crystalline hulls like a bullet through glass. Each ship shattered completely, their fragments joining the growing debris field around the mining station. Alex activated his electronic warfare systems, flooding the remaining alien ships with false sensor readings and communication jamming. The Hegemony fleet, already reeling from the unexpected kinetic attacks, found their targeting systems confused and their coordination disrupted. Their formation is breaking apart, Commander, Alex reported with satisfaction. They're trying to regroup, but our jamming is preventing effective communication between their ships. The alien commander's voice returned to the communications channel, but now it carried notes of rage and disbelief rather than arrogant confidence. This is impossible. Your species lacks the technology for such weapons. Our intelligence indicated you were primitive tool users with basic spaceflight capability. Sarah's response was calm and professional, but with an underlying tone of steel. Your intelligence was incomplete. Humans have a saying, never underestimate the quiet ones. We've been watching the galaxy and preparing for visitors like you. The tide turns. The remaining Hegemony ships attempted to regroup and mount a coordinated counterattack, but the humans had seized the initiative and refused to give it up. Marcus continued launching asteroid projectiles with devastating accuracy, each impact shattering crystalline hulls that had been considered invulnerable. Emma alternated between maintaining the gravitational shields and powering the asteroid acceleration systems. The station's power cores were being pushed far beyond their design limits, but human engineering held firm under pressure. Warning lights flashed throughout the station, but no critical systems failed. Power levels holding at 80% of maximum, Emma reported. We can maintain this level of combat operations for approximately 2 hours before we need to reduce output. That should be more than enough, Sarah replied, watching as another wave of asteroids tore through the alien formation. The hegemony fleet, which had numbered 15 ships at the beginning of the engagement, was now reduced to 8 vessels. The survivors were trying desperately to establish a safe distance from the mining station, their confidence shattered along with their comrades' hulls. Alex detected frantic communications between the remaining alien ships as they attempted to analyze the human weapons and develop countermeasures. Commander, they're trying to figure out how our gravitational systems work. Their science teams are completely baffled by our technology. Marcus launched a third wave of attacks, this time using a mix of ultra-dense and ultra-light asteroids in complex patterns. The dense projectiles served as battering rams, while the light ones moved at incredible speeds to exploit any gaps in the alien defenses. It was like watching a master chess player execute a perfect endgame strategy. 2 more hegemony ships fell to the coordinated assault, their crystalline form shattering into thousands of glittering fragments. The remaining 6 vessels were now in full retreat, desperately trying to escape the range of the human weapons. Victory and consequences. The alien commander's final transmission carried none of the arrogance that had characterized their earlier communications. The voice was hollow with shock and defeat. This engagement is concluded. The hegemony withdraws from this system. Your species will be reassessed. Sarah watched the surviving alien ships accelerate away from the asteroid belt, their crystalline hulls dimmed and their formation broken. Less than 2 hours, 12 humans in a disguised mining station had defeated a fleet that considered itself the master of the galaxy. All stations, report status, Sarah commanded. Emma checked her engineering systems thoroughly before responding. All gravitational systems operating within acceptable parameters. Power cores stable. We pushed everything to the limit, but human engineering held together. Marcus was already analyzing the battle data, his scientific mind fascinated by the results. Commander, we destroyed 9 alien vessels and forced 6 others to retreat. Our gravitational manipulation technology proved completely effective against their crystalline hull design. Alex monitored the retreating fleet's communications, ensuring they were actually leaving the system. They're gone, Commander. Long range. Sensors show them jumping to faster-than-light travel at the edge of the system. Sarah felt a mixture of exhaustion and triumph as she looked around at her crew. They had done something that would change the course of human history. A small group of engineers and scientists had proven that human creativity and determination could triumph over alien arrogance and superior numbers. Listen carefully, everyone, Sarah said, her voice carrying the weight of what they had accomplished. What happened here today goes far beyond military victory. We've established humanity's place in the galaxy not as servants or victims, but as equals who demand respect. She activated the long-range communication system to send a message back to Earth. Command, this is Mining Station Omega-7. Mission, successful. The gravitational warfare system has been tested under combat conditions and proved completely effective. Alien contact has been established, and humanity's position has been clarified. Dr. Webb smiled as he began compiling the technical data from their engagement. Commander, the scientific implications of what we've accomplished here are staggering. We've proven that human technology can compete with civilizations centuries ahead of us in conventional development. Emma was already making plans for system improvements based on their combat experience. With the data we've gathered, the next generation of gravitational weapons will be even more effective. Any species that thinks humans are primitive insects will get a very unpleasant surprise. As the alien fleet disappeared into the darkness of space, Sarah looked out at the asteroid belt that had served as humanity's first battlefield among the stars. The floating rocks appeared peaceful and ordinary, giving no hint of the devastating potential they contained when guided by human ingenuity. The galaxy had learned something important today. Humanity might be young and relatively inexperienced in the cosmic scale, but they possessed something that older civilizations had lost: the creativity to turn apparent weakness into strength and the determination to never surrender. The mining station resumed its disguise as a simple industrial outpost, but everyone aboard knew that nothing would ever be the same. Humanity had announced its presence to the galaxy not with words of peace or submission, but with a demonstration that underestimating human potential was a mistake that could prove fatal. In the depths of space, 12 humans had changed the course of galactic history with nothing more than rocks, gravity, and the refusal to accept defeat. The hegemony and any other species watching had learned that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their technology. It was their determination to find a way to win against impossible odds. The silent guardian had spoken, and the galaxy had listened.